Alrighty, welcome to Shift Thinkers. This is the podcast dedicated to all of those who navigate the challenges of maintaining health and fitness whilst working very unconventional hours. As a busy nurse, this podcast is going to be your go-to resource for practical tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you thrive both on and off that clock. Join us as we explore strategies for sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mental well-being, tailored specifically for shift workers. It's time to optimize your health, energize your lifestyle, and become a true shift thinker. So, welcome. My name is Paige. I am one of the head coaches here at Fit Tribe. You are joined with Ange, who is also a new coach with us as well. So welcome, Ange. Happy to be here, I hope.
Thank you for having me.
Firstly, guys, we always want to start off with a client success story. So I will go ahead and share firstly a recent client success of ours that I absolutely love. This lady, her name is Sarah. She joined us a year ago and has been a part of the tribe ever since. She's lost 8 kilos over the year, all whilst navigating a knee injury. And when I say a knee injury, it was very intense for her. She managed to just completely write herself off, not just physically, but mentally as well. She was literally unable to work, and her mindset had completely failed her at the time, which was really disheartening and sad. Well, it's just really sad to see that side of her, because she started the program wanting to obviously better herself, and then the injury occurred during the program because of work. So she actually ended up stopped working. But what we did together as a bit of a dream team was first and foremost just focus on that mindset, because I think that is the most important thing. If your mind is not there, then the rest won't follow, right? So working together, very closely on just changing that mindset, showing up for herself, really just making sure that we try and find the little things in life that we love. The first strategy I said to her was, hey, let's do some daily gratitude together, because it's so important that during this really, really sad time and challenging time for yourself, we need to try and find the good in life, and what we really enjoy about our lives to come out on the other side. So that was definitely a first step strategy. And then it was going, okay, hey, your mind, it is better. I can see it's better. I can feel that it's better. Through constant communication with her. She then, we started focusing on a program that was more upper body focused, because she was still obviously unable to use her knees at the time for movement. So just fully basing it around still trying to focus on movement that she was capable of, to be able to obviously get that dopamine hit from the workouts. And she is now currently in pre-rehab with a physio, currently getting ready for a knee surgery in October. So she has a very big surgery coming up, but she's not given up. She's continued to show up. She's lost that 8 kilos. Her mindset has completely changed. And I just got off the call with her today, actually. And she said she's just learned so many tools from being a part of the program that have just been able to help her navigate the most challenging times. So it's just been an absolute blessing to be a part of that journey with her. Sarah, if you ever listen to this, I love you. I love you always. But that is a client win or client success story I wanted to share from my behalf. Miss Ange, you take it away.
I just have a nice quick one, quick but amazing. We had one of our beautiful clients, Debbie. She'd set herself a goal for June for her weight loss, and she managed to reach 5 kilos lost in June. So she's reassessed her goals. She's dived right into July, made a plan, and yeah, we're really excited to see what July brings for her.
Yeah, very excited. Go, Debbie. Let's go. And some exciting things that we've got launching here at Fit Tribe. It is still in the works. Obviously, we don't want to just launch something quick and easy. We want to really put our time and effort into us, and into what we create. So we're going to be launching later on down the year an elite program. So that's going to be really focused on people that not just want to make changes through their health and fitness, but actually want to go into like an event of some sort. So really focused on like a specific event, a specific, fitness goal that's going to really level up to that next stage. So that's going to be coming up really soon, a little bit more intense, with like the training and the goals. But there's going to be a lot more outcome from it, which is very exciting. And then also, for Fit Tribe, still coming up very shortly is our Fit Tribe exclusive merch. And is yet to receive it as well, guys. But that's going to definitely be coming up very soon. Obviously, we love our community, and we want them to start, representing the Fit Tribe, which we know they are very excited about as well. So some really exciting things coming up. Now, few little things we'll run through today. Obviously, I just want to jump kind of straight into it. We're here to talk about shift workers and probably common things that pop up for them, and trying to give as much value as we can to help them navigate that. I guess I'll ask the question to yourself, Miss Ange. I'll let you lead the way on this one, all right? But I guess for yourself, first and foremost, do you believe that the weight loss industry, adequately addresses the needs of shift workers, or is it quite biased towards those 9 to 5 jobs?
I definitely think, without even meaning to, that it is definitely more biased towards those regular 9 to 5. You don't often hear, when they're talking about programs, irregular sleep patterns, high stress jobs, irregular meal times and stuff like that. It's very much, you need to do these workouts, you need to eat this food, things like that. So I definitely think, even unintentionally, it is 100% aimed at those that have a regular 9 to 5 and regular sleep patterns.
Yeah, 100%. Like I definitely agree on that as well, because I think it really misses the mark for those shift workers. Most programs really do, like you said, cater to that 9 to 5 lifestyle, and really make it hard for people that don't have regular hours to be able to like stick to a plan. And I even think some trainers, again, this is definitely not banging out some trainers, but some trainers, have this expectation for a client where they're like, hey, why are you not showing up for your workout today? Why are you not doing this? And they don't kind of consider what that person is actually going through, that they've just gone, like I just spoke to a lady that's done 6 back-to-back 12-hour shifts.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
to
Yeah.
come off that and be like, hey, why don't you work out over those 6 days? It's like, I was just trying to survive. That's what I was trying to do for 6 days. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for some, again, it's not all, but for some coaches, you kind of see that a lot, right? But I guess in the industry as well, like, do you think employers really should be like responsible for providing like healthier options and fitness resources for their shift workers?
100%. I think it's a no-brainer for me, especially with nurses, who, have physically demanding jobs. They work long hours. I don't know why you wouldn't want to prioritize their health and fitness. One, it's going to lead to, happier, healthier employees, which, that's going to mean more productivity. They're going to enjoy their job more. It's going to be, less things like injuries, illness. Yeah, to me, it's just like it's a no-brainer why you wouldn't want, happier, healthier employees. You're expecting them to work, long shifts, double shifts, night shifts. So you also got to think of them as a person and look after, their mental health, their physical health. Yeah, and that's how you're going to get, your best workers, and you're going to get the best out of them.
Yeah, definitely. I completely get where you're coming from on that. Like, they're doing these massive shifts. And then I even talked to some of the ladies, like they barely get a break. And I'm like, how are you doing all this physical work? Because it's pretty physical for shift workers. They're on their feet all the time, like pretty much the whole shift. To then they're just gonna start to run on empty, and there's like, I feel like the least an employer could do is, hey, maybe put a bowler, a fruit bowl in the break room, with some really good snacks that are nutritious and gonna keep people going, like rice cakes and just like things that prioritize their health. Because I hear a lot of the times from the shift workers, it's a lot of the ladies bringing in foods, but also the food that is in the break room. It's usually like cakes and sweets and chocolate, and it's like that's all that's going to do is give you a little spike, a bit of yay, and then just a massive drop where you then have these energy crashes and you've got people
Yeah.
running chocolate and Red Bull.
And you feel disgusting. Like
Yeah.
you feel, yeah,
Feeling disgusting whilst trying to still show up and take care of people and keep people alive,
yeah,
while struggling to keep themselves alive sometimes. So I think that's so important. And even like fitness side of things, I do really love seeing that, in the healthcare especially as well, that they do offer, like fitness passports. I don't know if you,
yes.
yeah, I was about to say, I
Yeah,
don't know if
we use it like because my husband's a nurse,
yeah,
so we use it for the family, and it's amazing.
yeah,
And I think like even some teachers, I know some states are doing it for teachers,
yeah.
ambulance, ambulance drivers and stuff like that. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love seeing that. Really love seeing that side to the industry, because it's like, okay, cool. You are doing something to show up for your
Yeah,
employees, and I think that's so important. I think as well, obviously, especially with shift workers, they're busy, right? And they really struggle to to lose weight because of the stress that
yeah.
comes from the shift working, right? Like lack of sleep. I don't know how your hubby goes with sleep. How does your hubby
Oh,
navigate
he
sleep?
could actually just sleep through anything,
Yeah.
which helps. So when he's on night shift, like, and the kids are home and stuff, he plugs in, face mask on, and he can sleep. But I know that that's not everyone. He's just a bit of a freak when it comes to like sleeping through,
Yeah. Yeah.
anything. But I know when he's on night shift, he really just focuses focuses on work and sleep. It's really hard for him to sort of fit anything else in.
Mm.
And that's why, that's what we're saying. You don't often hear that, we're being told to exercise and do all these things. And as you said, sometimes you just trying to survive,
Mhm.
just working, just sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you like, obviously, like you just said, your husband does that for shift and he's a pretty good sleeper. How do you think ladies are able to try and obviously balance getting enough sleep with also finding the time to exercise? Like, what do you feel like is the best way for them to be able to kind of navigate that?
I always say 100% prioritize your sleep first. There's no point. I know I used to train a lady in person, and she used to come in post night shift. She'd come straight to the gym. She'd be exhausted. And I said, there's no point.
Yeah.
Her time was better off spent sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing that because she ended up with injuries and stuff like that. And it was just like sleep first,
Yeah.
good quality sleep, and then some kind of movement. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're on night shift and you are tired, even if you're getting sleep, your energy levels aren't necessarily as high as they normally are.
Mhm.
So just adjusting like your expectations around your workouts, they might look different. You might not do a full workout. You might walk instead. Like it's just like pivoting, listening to your body, prioritizing sleep. Not necessarily using it as an excuse, but making sure that you are getting your sleep first. That's what I always recommend.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I do think there is obviously a fine line in regards to using it as an excuse
Yes.
of not
Yeah.
doing it, and just making sure that you prioritize yourself, right? Like I think that's where it definitely comes into play. So like completely agree with you. Sleep first and foremost will always be priority number one. But I think people also don't know what like exercises they should be doing as well, right? Like I think some people will go do a do a night shift and then go do like a hit session, and it's like you
Yeah.
have just raised your cortisol levels to an extreme. What you
Yeah.
really should be doing on those night shift days where maybe sleep is really hard and challenging for you, go for a walk, go for a swim, do some stretching, like you said, get some movement in, but really focus on soft, gentle movement rather than really high intensity movement as well. I think is massive. But also people don't know what they don't know, right?
No,
And
that's
that's
it.
that's super important. But yeah, no, that's awesome. And I guess for yourself, like what do you feel like the biggest, challenge for shift workers like face when it does come to maintaining that healthy diet? Like we spoke about food a little bit before, but what do you think is the biggest challenge for them?
Probably like shift changes, because we always talk about routine and consistency is how you're going to see progress and things like that. It's very
Yeah,
hard to have a routine if your shifts constantly change.
yeah,
So I guess that would probably, for me, is probably the most difficult thing. Like it's easy for us to say, have your 3 meals a day. But when you're on night shift, you're sleeping during the day, you're waking up, are you having breakfast, are you having dinner, things like that. So I guess that's the hardest thing, is that the routine's constantly changing, so it's hard to have that consistency that everyone tends to talk about.
yeah, yeah. And like, when you don't have the time, or you're in that go mode with the irregular meal times, it can then start to lead to fatigue, which then can lead to poor food choices. Like the amount of ladies I speak to that are like, oh, I just went and got some fast food because it was quick and easy and I didn't have to think about it. Right.
Yeah,
So really just kind of, you know, leaning into more going, okay, cool. What's still quick and easy that I can have when I'm tired, right?
yeah,
Instead of going and grabbing some fast food, but instead kind of like preparing something that's healthy so that you
yeah,
do have that go-to snack ready to go, right? I think that's
yeah,
super important. And obviously,
exactly.
yeah, like it even leads into like meal planning. Like how do you think shift workers can really manage meal planning and preparation with that unpredictable schedule? How can they kind of apply that to their lives?
I think when it comes to meal planning and prepping, exactly the same as you would if you were doing a 9 to 5. So it may mean that you don't necessarily, have a Sunday free to do it, but you will have, an hour somewhere in
Mm,
your week that you can do your meal prepping. So to still plan and prep just like you normally would, but obviously your meal plans, your meal times and that are different. So I'd still, yeah, prep exactly the same as you would,
yeah.
whether you're on day shift, night shift, things like that.
100%. And ladies, like make life easy for yourself. There's something called click and collect these days. Right.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Sat in bed just before you go to sleep, before your next shift, full well know, okay, cool. I finished my shift at this time. I'm able to go and do some click and collect, or I've got my day off. I'm going to order it so it's ready to pick up at this time on this day. Like Bob's your uncle. Honestly, it's something I've introduced into my life. I'm not even a shift worker, right? But it's something I know that really helps you navigate having a busy, crazy life and just still being able to prioritize yourself. I think the key word is priority, right? We don't make ourselves a priority. And it's hard for people to admit that to themselves, right? Like, especially if you call yourself, like I call myself out on it all the time. If I'm not doing something for me right now, I'm like, I'm just not making that a priority for myself. It's not that I don't have time, because that's what people will always say. I don't have time. I
Yeah.
don't have time. It's like, hey, reframe that, be like, I'm just not making that a priority right now. Right. And it can be a hard pill to swallow. I for sure know it. But I guess for yourself, obviously, just again, fresh perspective, like what strategies do you think have been really effective, to avoid unhealthy snacking? Like I said, your husband's a shift worker, right? Like, do you find that there are effective strategies to avoid unhealthy snacking during night shifts, or even on a busy day for yourself? Like, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
Like my husband's actually the worst client that I've ever had. Like I don't know whether he just doesn't want to listen, but for him it was like working out what was he was tired and when he was hungry.
Mm,
So a lot of the time when we're tired, our body is telling us that we're hungry and we're not, you know.
yeah.
So I know he gets home from a night shift straight to the pantry. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a habit. Straight to the pantry. 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, you're not hungry. You're tired. Like, have a drink of water, have, a banana or something and go to bed.
Mm,
Because yeah, his body's like, oh, I need some treats.
mm-hmm.
But also another one was, when you have a busy shift, you hear a lot of ladies say, oh, we didn't get time to eat, we didn't get our break. So when I get home, I just want to eat everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, my suggestion there is to have those snacks, even if you have them in the car. So, you finish your shift, jump in the car, you've got those healthy snacks there, whether it's some nuts, some fruit, a protein bar, eat it, and then it sort of gets rid of that feeling to go home and just eat everything for energy. Then you can kind of go home, prioritize your sleep. Yeah. So that's what I find is just being prepared and also knowing the difference between, hang on a minute, I'm tired or I'm thirsty, I'm not hungry.
100%. Preparation. Preparation preparation. I do like that idea with the healthy snacks, you know, having them there so that there's no excuse for you to then go and buy the takeaway or the quick fix, because it's
Yeah.
like, hey, my food is here, I've prepped it, I'm ready. You know, I've got it easy access. You know, I don't know how, like, obviously every shift worker's location is probably different, but maybe having like a little fridge where you have, you know, a little lunchbox of stuff in the fridge of all your go-to snacks for that week, so that again, there's no excuse of going, I didn't have it, I wasn't ready, you know, I'm not able to do it. It's all about going, okay, how can I then prioritize myself to get those snacks ready for the week, full well knowing this is what my week looks like. But also, we're not perfect, right? We're not sitting here saying, hey, yes, these are the strategies and you must do this. We're also human too, and we're not gonna have some weeks gonna be great, other weeks are gonna freaking suck, because all we're doing is survival mode, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. And I think people really struggle to sit with that, you know, sit with being okay with not being perfect. When in the end of the day, we're never going to be perfect, right? It's like
No,
balance. There's never
no.
going to be 100% balance in our lives as much as we want it. It's just not true, right? But I guess for yourself, you know, as well, in regards to kind of keeping our ladies motivated, you know, and previous experience as well, like, how do you feel like, you know, the best ways to stay motivated, or the best ways to give motivation for them to be able to stick to their weight loss goals, obviously, despite those demands of shift work?
So I always, when people struggle with motivation, I always like to remind them of their why, and I do it myself as well. I know, like, when things are busy, or you know, you use kids as an excuse, you know, running. It's like you've got to remind yourself why. So it's always good to go back and revisit your goals. You know, we get our ladies to do their goal setting. They might put that aside and then not look at that for a while. And so when they're struggling with that motivation, it's like, but hang on a minute, why did you want to do it? Go back, revisit your goals. They may have changed, like reassess them, but remind yourself of why you want to do it.
I
That,
love
like
that.
that, and I use that myself. And you know, I pull
Yeah.
myself up all the time, and I'm like, you know, oh, I can't fit that workout in. It's like, why do you want? Like, why did you originally want to? And you know, and it's just that reminder of why. You know, I want to be fitter. I want to be healthier.
Yeah.
Things like that. But also, you know, when you aren't motivated, you need to find other ways to, you know, help to get that motivation back. It's not just going to appear one morning. You know, you've got to plan out your week. If you're not motivated, put your workouts in your diary, or put a walk in the diary, put your meal prep in there. So that, you know, you're not just leaving it to chance, because motivation is not going to come knocking on the door and be like, come on, we're going to do some meal
No,
prep. I'm
let
going to take you
me
to the gym. Yeah. So, you know, planning it ahead so you can see it in your diary is just another step, you know, that visual reminder, be like, that's right, you know.
Yeah.
And then the more you do it, then the motivation starts to grow. And it's like momentum, isn't it? You start to build the momentum, and you get a little bit more motivated.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think with motivation, there's so many different things I could talk about here. We could probably just have one topic about motivation and chat about that the whole time. But I think, you know, when it does come to motivation, like you just said, it's not going to come knocking at our door. I wish it would. And that's where people, you'll see them talk about creating that discipline, right? It's like, hey, you know what? I don't, instead of basing my actions on how I'm feeling that day, my actions are based on, okay, what's in my calendar? What, like you said, what's my why? Why am I wanting to do this workout? Well, because, you know, I don't like the way that I look in a bikini, and it makes me want to cry, right? Like, people have these really deep down internal, you know, beliefs and feelings. And as much as we don't want to put that in our faces, because it's facing the truth, you know, of how we feel, we can then start to, you know, really focus from there. But I think it's also making sure, like, you know, if we are super in a place where we feel completely lost, completely unmotivated, start small. Like, really start small. You know, if my goal is, okay, my end goal is to do 5 workouts a week, and I'm just not doing it because I just can't be bothered and I'm not motivated, start with 1. Okay, cool. Like you said, once you get that 1, awesome. Go for the
You're like,
next.
oh, that feels so
Yeah,
good.
feels good.
I might do
Feels
another
good.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get overwhelmed by going, oh my God, I've got 5 workouts that I've set out to do. I'm just not going to do any of them, because it's easier to
Yeah.
not do it than go, okay, put one foot in front of the other. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and maybe the promise is to not even do a workout, but the promise is to move my body every single day, right? And it might be 5 minutes of it literally might be a 5-minute walk around the block. And that's your first commitment to yourself, because I think that's the thing, right? It's like making a commitment to ourselves and then ticking it off and being like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. It's like it's a breath of fresh air. Because I feel like people get demotivated and they don't think they can do it, right? And then that's when they kind of tap out. They tap out of life. Another thing as well, just on this one, is you mentioned the planner and having, you know, your why in your forefront of your mind. And I love that. Like we speak about trying to get our ladies to actually put those put those goals somewhere where they're going to see it every day. Like I always recommend to the ladies, like, you know, whether you have a Fit Tribe planner or whether you don't, like write your goal down, stick it to your bathroom mirror, put it on the front of your fridge, because those are the two most common places. We brush our teeth every morning and we eat food from the fridge every day. What are you going to look at every day? If you can have that there, you're constantly putting it in sight, which is in mind, right? If it's out of sight, you start to forget about it. You forget why you're here. You go down this negative spiral. But if you're like, no, I consistently see, okay, this is why I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I think having it, like you said, at like the forefront of your mind and knowing why you started, I think is important. So in your face, I love things in your face. I think it's vital. And I guess for ladies that you've, you know, worked with and in the past, again, I do keep referring to your husband because he's a shift worker. But, you know, have you kind of found any specific type of workouts that really do fit well with, you know, a shift worker with an irregular schedule as well?
So probably night shift, I think, is where a lot of people struggle more with their sleep and energy. So when you're on night shift, you know, things like walking, low impact. So even your strength workouts, but be okay with not necessarily, you know, lifting the same amount or doing as many sets. So just changing it up like that, or doing something more gentle like Pilates, you know, swimming, things like that. Obviously, when day shifts, afternoon shifts, if you're still getting adequate sleep and you're feeling okay, then you can still fit in, you know, your regular workouts. But you've just got to be okay with listening to your body and pivoting. Instead of saying, oh, I'm feeling a bit tired, I'm not going to do my workout, do it. But, you know, scale it back. So either scale back the intensity, scale back the length of time. Yeah, there's always, you know, ways that you can do it. But as you said, like, wouldn't recommend coming off a night shift and going straight into, you know, a hit session or something, because, you know, it may feel okay, but you're never going to sleep. You're never going to go home and be able to sleep for one
Yeah,
after that, are you?
no.
And it's just gonna, yeah, end up,
Give me
you're gonna
something
feel
that
exhausted. You'll be
wired,
like,
staring at the ceiling.
sort of
Someone help.
coffee. But yeah, so
Yeah,
just be flexible. And that's, I guess, where we come into it as well. Like if you ever need suggestions and be like, you know, I don't think I can get these work. I mean, I'm on night shift. I just can't, I don't think I can do these workouts.
yeah.
And, you know, we can give you other ideas of what you can do.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so true. It literally applies to that individual, right? No, not all shift work is the same. So it's kind of navigating that together with that individual and going, okay, well, like, what are you capable of right now? You know, and sometimes I work with ladies and they're like, Paige, I literally, I'm struggling to survive right now. I don't know how I can show up for me. And I'm like, hey, have you got 5 minutes? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, have you got 5 minutes a day that you could give back to you, or make that time and make that a priority for yourself? And they're like, yeah, 5 minutes is nothing. And, you know, then focusing on like a 5-minute daily workout to, again, start to tick off those boxes, trigger that motivation as well to keep them motivated, because I think that's so important. So I found that that's worked really well with a lot of our ladies, is like you just said, scaling it back. You know, making sure that you still make yourself a priority, because that's the biggest thing. If we can't fill our own cup, how are we going to fill everyone else's? And nurses have to fill a lot of other cups, right? So I think that's super important. Just kind of like scaling it back to that specific person is just key. There's no specific type of workout. Like you said, probably stay away from the HIIT workouts post night shift. That would be a top recommendation. But there's no specific, I guess, workout. It's more going, okay, how do I navigate this to my individual situation? I have found anyway, personally. When it comes to water, right, for shift workers, I know massively they struggle, right? They're on their feet all the time. They just don't seem to get a break. I've even had chats with ladies like, hey, can you just like take a minute to have some water? And they're like, no, like, even they say their like employer won't allow that. You're not allowed to have water on the floor for some of them, which I think is insane. I guess I understand health and
Crazy,
safety.
crazy.
I guess I understand, but also I'm like, that's the health and safety, but like, what about the health and safety of that human that needs hydration? So I guess in terms of water, what kind of what do you feel like the hydration role plays in regards to like weight loss efforts, and how can these ladies ensure that they are drinking enough water during their shifts?
Yeah, so obviously, and also you hear a lot of ladies say they don't drink water because they don't have time to go to the bathroom, which is another one. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes, yes,
that's an
yes.
added, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So obviously, like we harp on about being hydrated because, lack of water can affect everything. It can, affect your metabolism. It can affect your hormones. Like, we don't just say drink your water just for fun. Like it has, we need to have it. But obviously, shift workers, they've got a whole other, as you said, some people aren't allowed to have it. So I guess you've got to find ways to work around it. On your breaks, you've got to make sure you're getting adequate water. Even just down to your food, things like your fruits, watermelons, cucumbers, like they have water in them.
Mhm.
A cup of tea, things like that. Even just if you are allowed to, have water accessible, setting yourself reminders. But
Mhm.
I always say, like, wake up in the morning, first thing you should do, water.
Yeah.
Like, we can all do that, regardless of, our shifts and stuff. You can wake up, have a glass of water. Just
Yeah.
getting into habits like that. And yeah, if you can, having water available to you or close by.
Mm.
But yeah, obviously, again, it's going to be a hard thing depending on, shifts and stuff like that. But just finding small ways, but also another one is not, I had one lady and she struggled with water intake. So she would get home and she would drink like as much as she could
Mm.
overnight. And
Oh,
then all that
yeah.
did was then affect her sleep because
Sleep.
she's
Yeah.
up all night. And it's like you've got to try
Gotta
and find
strategize.
ways to fit it in the
Yeah.
day and not just get your 2 liters in, just before bed.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a really key point to make, right? Because I think ladies do forget how their nutrition and their hydration actually impacts them then going to sleep, right? That then they have a bad night's sleep and then they wake up cranky, and that having a bad night's sleep then affects their nutrition the next day.
Yep,
It's
no,
like this never-ending cycle. So like what I literally love everything you said. I actually don't really have more to add to it, because I think it is just, again, each to that individual, but having reminders, fitting in strategies. I really liked the idea of like foods that have got quite a high water concentrate in it as well, because that's going to obviously help just naturally increase it so they can have the snacks on the breaks. It's I think it's obviously it's a sad, unfortunate struggle for those
yeah,
nurses, right? Because again, they matter. They should be able to drink some water, not worry about taking a bathroom break. But all of they're caring more about the bathroom break and not being there on the shift, rather than themselves and being able to hydrate themselves, which is I'm sure frustrating for majority of them, right? But I guess I was about to say last but not least, Miss Anne, we're nearly time is nearly up. I guess for nurses, obviously they're all humans too, right? They're all busy ladies. Yes, they're busy with their shifts, but they also have a life. And I'm sure they want to go out and do some social settings, right? How do you feel like they can really be able to handle and navigate social settings and events that kind of conflict with the shift schedule and also their goals, right? Because I think a lot of ladies think that they can't go to a social event because they're trying to achieve this goal, which that's something I practice here, is like, hey, this is a lifestyle program. Like, you are here to navigate life, right? And how we can strategize that. So how do you feel like the best way for them to handle kind of social settings and events for shift workers?
So I think planning ahead. Again, it's not leaving things to chance. So if you know that you have something on, and there's going to be food there, obviously, and you're worried that you won't make the best choices or you'll overindulge, is to plan ahead, is to plan your day accordingly. So, get your nutrients and things in during the day. Especially if it's like a dinner that you're going to, so that you've had a balanced diet throughout the day, but then you're not sort of going into that event hungry,
Mhm.
and then making bad choices. So for me, it's definitely planning ahead. Also, things like we say, mindful eating and stuff like that. So being aware of your portion sizes, we've all been to something and there's this beautiful big like grazing table and it's just got all this amazing stuff. And so, you know what I mean? Like you're trying everything. It's like you've got no idea actually what you've eaten. So I always suggest, grab a plate, then you can visually see what you're eating, but you can also mindfully eat it, enjoy it, be aware of what you're having. Another one, as we just spoke about, water, making sure that you're hydrated and you're not mistaking that thirst for hunger, but also, if you're having that glass of water while you're out, you're less likely to overindulge in your food and things like that. So I think just planning ahead, but also going into that with the mindset, as we said, it is a lifestyle and we do want balance. So
Yeah.
also being able to enjoy yourself.
Mm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, so many ladies think they have to restrict themselves, like I just mentioned before, not going to social events because it's going
Yeah.
to affect their results and their goals, and they're going to put themselves back all these million times. But it's like, that's so not true, and there are so many ways that you can navigate it. Again, I feel like I say this with every kind of question we ask, but it's each to the individual, right? Like, it's figuring out what works for that individual, what doesn't work. And then when you start to figure out what works, you're like, cool, next time I go into a social setting, I'm prepared. I know that me grabbing a plate of food and just putting, a little bit of everything on it, having that as my portion size and being like, I'm happy with that. I got to come to my social event, I got to eat the foods I want, and you know what? I get to wake up tomorrow and not feel like crap,
Yeah.
right? Because that happens too. We kind of overindulge, we wake up the next day, we feel like rubbish, and it's not a fun feeling, right? It can and it's not even just the food itself, but also like the mindset that comes with going to social events. Like I have had ladies in the past that have just had full-blown anxiety attacks from going, oh my God, I've got this event coming up and I know if I go here, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, breathe. Like, let's just breathe. We can try implement this and see if this strategy works together as a team. And if it doesn't, hey, it's okay. We just haven't found what works for you, and we're going to try something else next time. And then they're like, okay, all right. But also, again, it's coming back to that fact that it's okay to just sometimes have those events and
Yeah.
then wake up the next day.
Enjoy them. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it. Like, be like, it's one day. It's not bloody gonna kill you, Linda. That's what we say to that, right?
Yes.
But I think that's definitely so true. But one other thing actually that has come up that I think a lot of people really massively struggle with social settings, is just communicating. Like, literally communicating to their friends, their family, their work colleagues, whatever an event it is. Like, if I sat down and had a conversation with my friend, or just a general chit chat, and just said, hey, you know what, I'm really trying to get to this goal, and you actually tell them why you're trying to get to that goal, which again, it means, if you feel comfortable with it, it means being vulnerable with those people, right? You need to have that connection, to have that vulnerability, to be like, hey, this is my goal, I want to get here because of this. Please don't try and peer pressure me to drink, because I'm not drinking. I'm not
Yeah.
drinking. I don't want to drink, because I want to get to this goal. I'm gonna come. I'll be at the event. I'll hang out with you, but please don't try and peer pressure me to eat, or because you see it, especially with like family events, peer
Oh,
pressure.
yeah. Yeah.
You must finish your plate. Like, no,
Yeah.
I am a grown adult and I will
Yeah.
not, right? And then I think that really stems from literally from childhood, right? Like, you didn't get to have your dessert if you didn't clean the plate, right? So what we'd do, we'd just eat all the food, we'd be so full, but we'd still have dessert, right? So it's kind of like that mentality, and just shifting that, but communicating that. And I think a lot of people are scared to have those conversations. Like I had a really big chat with a lady and I said, look, it sounds like XYZ. I really think you should have this conversation with your mum, because it was like the mum trying to be like, you know, getting her to eat everything, and just have that open, honest conversation. She was like, oh my God, like freaking out. And I'm like, but you know what? That's the first step for you. And you never know what they're going to say. We can play this little game of, oh my God, but they're going to say this or they're going to say that. We don't actually know what somebody is going to say, nor do we know how they're going to react, right? But we can communicate our boundaries to them. And I think that's super important. So, yeah, that is the end of our fun little first podcast for Shift Thinkers. Guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for being here, and thank you for being a part of this wonderful chat. And we'll see you all on the next one. Bye.